jump up, people, are you ready?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another season of On Tour with the West Indies and Sri Lanka being played in Antigua. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Thank you so much for joining us here on FlowSports. Well, the West Indies made a very fantastic start to this series. There were sixes, there were hat tricks, it was a flurry of fours as well. And at the end, the West Indies managed to hold on and win their first T20 international by some 4 wickets. Let's have a look at the scorecard. The game there being played at Coolidge. The West Indies, of course, winning the toss and inviting Sri Lanka to bat. They made 131 for 9. 131 for 9 with Nissanka making 39. And Obed McCoy, 2 for 25 on his debut. I thought he bowled quite well. But then the action really happened when Sri Lanka were bowling at the West Indies. 134 for 6 is what the West Indies made. We saw 3 sixes consecutively by Evan Lewis. We saw the historic 6 sixes in an over there by Pollard, which we're going to discuss later on. He made 38, 36 of those runs came in 1 over. And then, of course, we also saw that fantastic hat trick by Dhananjaya, who got 3 for 62, and De Silva, who got 3 for 12. Quite a historic match then, and so much to discuss. We have a star-studded panel led by none other than former West Indies and Ghana captain Sir Clive Lloyd. We also have Philo Wallace, the former Barbados and West Indies opening batsman, and our international correspondent who's doing this series as well is none other than the BBC's Johnny Barrett. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Age before beauty, so therefore Sir Clive goes first. Sir Clive, your quick thoughts on the match in terms of the West Indies winning, managing to hold on with 41 balls to spare.
Well, it was quite exciting. It's obvious that the Sri Lankans haven't settled down yet, and I think that the rest of the games could be quite interesting. I wondered if Jason was caught on the boundary there, what would be the outcome, because there wasn't a lot to come. So I'm sure that there's a lot of excitement in the next couple of games.
Johnny, there is some interesting stats in this game, which we're going to delve into a bit later on. But this game is exciting because of this series, because it's the first time that you're playing T20s, 50 overs, and Tests in one venue. From your perspective, covering this series, how have you found it so far?
Just a wonderful, compelling watch. For large parts of the game yesterday, the West Indies played like the dream team. And then for moments, they played like the Harlem Globetrotters. It had a little bit of everything for everyone. And Sri Lanka, well, if they can learn quickly, will be quite an interesting test, I suggest, on pitches that may well turn through the course of the series.
Philo Wallace, brief answer, 30 seconds. West Indies winning. Your overall thoughts of the game?
Well, Barry, the T20 game was fluctuating. When you see it, watch that game, you want to know if West Indies can get over the line. I think that at the end of the day, they held their own, thanks to Pollard, who came in and had some tricks at the end. But I think that when you look at it, it's a good examination of our T20 squad and the strength and what we need to do in order to get better. So it's just the first game, excitement, and you expect the other 2 games to be more exciting.
All right, let's delve right into the day. Look, you had the West Indies putting the Sri Lankans into bat, 131 for 9. Nissanka 39, but we saw the return of Fidel Edwards. When you looked at him in terms of his fitness, in terms of how he bowled, I'm going to start with you, Fidel. Your assessment on Fidel and his comeback so long after not playing for the West Indies.
Well, obviously, it's a dream come true for Fidel to return to West Indies colours. And he obviously has learned a lot being in England, playing for Hampshire. He was here for some 10 years. And obviously he realized that fitness is a big part of his success and to prolong his career. And at 39 years old and to run in and bowl in a T20 game, obviously no crowds, but he showed excitement. He brought excitement to the West Indies bowling attack. And I'm quite happy that he's really put his hand up and he has not let himself down, Barry. That is the key. He went to there last night and he bowled with a lot of fire. He got a few boundaries that took off for him, but I think that he held his own, and we can only expect him now to get better as he gets himself back into international T20 cricket.
So, Clive, we had Sinclair and we also had Obed McCoy, who came into the team. A lot of people have been talking about the oldsters, but there are also some young men who made their debut. Your thoughts on Sinclair and also McCoy, the 2 debutants who picked up some wickets?
Well, I thought that there's talent around. We have no doubt about that. They perform very well. I think their real test will come when the Sri Lankans have, you know, they sort of got rid of the jet lag and all that, and I think that it will be a great test for them, and it just shows that we have guys who can, young players who can, give a good account of themselves, and they did, and I really looking forward to the next couple of games.
Yeah, when you look at the cricket and you see how the fielding of the West Indies was performing, your thoughts, Johnny Barron, on how they fielded, and the old man of the team looked to me like he had a bit of a problem getting done. I'm talking about Chris Gayle. Was Gayle a liability in the field, and generally, how did you think the West Indies performed in the field?
I think they did pretty well, actually, setting off with that wonderful catch that Kieran Pollard took at the beginning. But one of the problems with having a side where you've got 3 or 4 players who are aged 38 and over is that if you make any mistakes in the field, it kind of does demonstrate a red flag. And I have to say, it just wasn't noticed, the fielding, apart from that one moment of Chris Gayle. But largely, I thought they took their catches well. The out cricket was pretty strong. A couple of run-outs in the game as well. I thought they were pretty tidy throughout. And that's pretty good considering the legend status of large parts of this team.
Your thoughts on Nissanka, because he's an interesting batsman. He likes to drive the ball. He's very confident.
Yeah, Nissanka is a talent, no question. He has an extraordinary record in first-class cricket. He's played 33 games and he averages 67. That's almost Bradman-esque in the longer format of the game. As far as T20 is concerned, an international T20, he's very much making his way. But I thought he was really impressive, and you feel that he's one of the stars that Sri Lanka need to build on.
Yeah, indeed. So 131 for 9. Were you, in terms of the final 11, Philo, were you surprised of any omissions, or were you happy with the balance of this team?
Are you talking about the West Indies, Barry?
Yes, West Indies, yes.
Well, when you look at the West Indies team, I think it's a team that was expected. I didn't expect McCoy to play, to be honest. But obviously the selectors would have decided, look, this is a young man who they're going to invest in. And he, again, he hold his hand up and he said, look, I can manage it at this level. But as Sir Clyde said, this is only the first game for the Sri Lankans, and they are also feeling themselves out. The Coolidge Cricket Ground, first international game, is a new international venue in Antigua, so they have 2 now, so Vivian Richards and Coolidge. So obviously that venue would have obviously strike those fellas. They weren't accustomed to it. But I think that when you look at the West Indies squad, it was a good 11 that they put out, and the bowlers held their own. I obviously thought that someone like Andrea Fletcher would have struggled to get into the side as well. And that is the depth that they have. Obviously, Gayle to bat at 3 or open, that's going to be the next talking point for the next couple of games.
Yeah, indeed it is. All right, you're watching On Tour, West Indies versus Sri Lanka. When we come back, we're going to have a look at the West Indies batting and all of the history and the records that were broken. Stay with us.
Put up your hand, it's time to party. Turn it up to the top, it's time to jump up. People, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand, it's time to party.
Welcome back then to On Tour. Of course, just a quick recap. The West Indies winning the first T20 International, the next one being played on Friday, same time, same venue at Coolidge. 134 for 6. Let's get right into it. Philo, we had a situation where Evan Lewis looked to me like he was going to finish the game in about 4 or 5 overs. He struck 3 consecutive sixes, and it was in the typical Evan Lewis fashion.
I think when you look at Evan Lewis, Barry, he's in some form coming out of the regional Super 50 competition. And he obviously got in early and he stamped his authority, 28 from 10 balls, with 3 sixes in there. I thought that could have actually looked to go on and bat a little deeper. And these are things that our opening batsmen need to understand, that when they get a start like that in a T20 game, I think they just need to settle themselves a bit and try to bat deep. I know Coolidge is not the biggest ground. The CEO, Johnny Greaves, says 65 meters all around. So it's quite big, but it looks small. The way how these guys hit the ball tremendously hard and far. So Lewis obviously needs to just control himself a bit, because you still have Lendl Simmons at the other end and a Chris Gayle at number 3. So there is backup for him if he holds a little bit more, because Sri Lanka, obviously, they're struggling that opening spell. And he batted wonderfully well, but he would like to continue and maybe get another half century or go on to 100. He has the ability to do it.
Johnny, it was the hat trick that really halted the progress of the West Indies. Let's have a look at this hat trick. Dana Jaya, How good a bowler is he? And did you think that any of the wickets were very close in terms of them being called LBWs?
I think Dallin Giant bowled superbly on his return to the Sri Lankan side, and well, just looking at these wickets again, it was a nice start, and then Chris Gale, of course, getting one that just scuttled onto him, and actually in the process brought Chris Gale another world record that went. He became the most ducks in T20 cricket, joining Dwayne Smith on 28 ducks, another record that
Wow.
perhaps passed a few people by. And then a smart catch getting rid of the very, very dangerous Nicholas Pooran, who you really do need to get rid of early, as we've seen his amazing form in competitions last couple of weeks. Really impressive bit of bowling, but then, wow, more fireworks to come after that.
I didn't know about that record with Chris Gale. Do you think he should bat at number 3, or do you think he should open? Are you happy with how the West Indies are sending that order?
I think Chris Gale could probably benefit from seeing the ball early. It's never easy just trundling in, especially when you're an old stager like Chris Gale. But he's very versatile. He's 41, even though he hasn't played for the West Indies for a couple of years. He's been in really good form in the Pakistan Super League, of course. Had a brilliant IPL before Christmas as well. So to be fair, you think a man of that caliber could slot in anywhere in the order.
You look at how the evening went, things were happening in clusters, but then Sir Clive, I don't think anyone would have expected Kieran Pollard coming in and batting so ebulliently. He struck 6 consecutive sixes. Only Rujaraj Singh and Herschel Gibbs have done it before. Let's look at these 6 sixes. They were indeed struck with tremendous power in typical Kieran Pollard fashion. Your thoughts on the 6 sixes by Kieran Pollard, and how do you view him as a captain and a cricketer?
Well, he's always been a very good striker of the ball. He's like Carlos Brathwaite, and once he is there, he's done it in the IPL, and he's done it for Trinidad. Yes, you know that he's a very strong young man, and they were pretty good blows, I must say, and quite exciting. I hope that the West Indies team, when they get to situations, as Philo said, when someone's got to start, that they'd finish and not leave it to the rest of the guys. And as I said, I think that this one this year will be quite exciting.
Johnny, where does this stack up in terms of the records? Everybody perhaps might go way back to when Sir Gary Sobers did it in the first-class game. But in terms of internationals, where does his 6 sixes stack up?
Very impressive, you have to say. Yes, Gary Sobers, of course, at Swansea back in the 60s, actually televised as well. You can find it on YouTube if you have a look around. But Herschel Gibbs, of course, has done it previously against the Netherlands. And then the one that people sort of most recognise came in a World Cup in India, which was Yuvraj Singh, Yuvraj Singh dispatching Stuart Broad to all parts for those 6 sixes as he just watched on helplessly. But this was a really impressive piece of power hitting by Kieran Pollard. And just to make matters worse, of course, his 7th delivery went for 6 as well. So it was effectively 7 in a row. Extraordinary hitting by Kieran Pollard and the West Indies.
Indeed. Philo, do you think that Kieran Pollard has captained the team well? And are you encouraged by his form? Do you think that this could take the West Indies from number 10, where they are now in T20 rankings, up the ladder?
Well, Barry, when you look at Pollard's record as a West Indies captain, he's still in the embryonic stages. I sat on a task force a couple of years ago, and we made the bold decision to appoint Pollard captain of the T20 and the ODI squads because of his experience. And obviously, he said that he's committed to West Indies cricket. He has a good start to this T20 series. Remember, in New Zealand, they lost 3-0. So this is a new beginning for him. And he has a good start. And I will hope that he can build on it. He didn't bowl a ball in the Sri Lankan innings, but he hit 6 sixes. Congratulations to him. He scored 38 runs, but he hit 6 sixes and 1 over. 38 with 6 sixes, and we still needed runs to win. He should have actually looked to stay there and bring home the troops with Jason Holder, who you must commend. Batted remarkably well. A wash pan of common sense, according to Bajan parlance.
I'm going to talk to you about Jason Holder. I was going to actually leave that for Sir Clive. I'll put another one to Sir Clive. But Jason Holder's all-round performance was very good. He bowled quite well. And then he batted sensibly, although he might have been out, and that could have changed the course of the match. Your thoughts on Holder?
Well, it's obvious that Jason has been a tremendous all-rounder, not now, for quite a while. And don't forget, he was a batter before he became a bowler. And he batted intelligently. He's always done so. And he strikes the ball very well. And he looks relaxed, and that's the great part about it. And I wish him well for the series, because I'm sure that there are a lot of good performances coming from him in the not too distant future.
Johnny, when you say A, you have to say B. There was a decision there that could have gone the other way, but the West Indies had no more reviews. Fabian Allen, he was LBW, but replay showed that it would have been missing. Do you think that would have been a crucial decision too, had they had the review available?
It could well have been. I think the bigger one actually was when Jason Holder was dropped, and that would have led the West Indies being 61 for 5, and they would have been really wobbling at that stage with the bulk of the batting gone. But this is international cricket, and some decisions can go your way, and they still get, I think, two referrals, don't they, in each innings, which is a greater than a normal T20. So I think they rode their luck nicely there.
All right, you're watching On Tour. When we come back, we'll hear from the man of the match and the captains, which happens to be, in the West Indies case, the same person. But we'll come back on Tour and hear from Kyron Pollard, of course, and Matthews.
Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to party. Turn it up to the top. It's time to jump up. People, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to...
Welcome back then. So the West Indies will continue with Sri Lanka on Friday. But for the meantime, match 1 done and dusted. Let's hear from the captain and the man of the match, Kyron Pollard.
The CG Insurance Player of the Match. That award goes to none other than the captain of the West Indies team, Kyron Pollard, for his swashbuckling innings of 39 from 10, 6 sixes, and a brilliant catch as well. Congratulations, Kyron. First, let's start with that catch. I'm sure it must have been pleasing for you to contribute towards the success of a young man who has been on debut.
Yeah, definitely. Thank God for small mercies. Again, you want your senior guys and you want the guys with experience to, sort of overlook the younger ones. And, he came into his first game, we entrusted him with the new ball. A lot of pressure, but again, he stood up to the challenge and, well done to him.
Right, in the run chase, you came, you saw a hat-trick on the other end, and then you had to respond to that. And boy, did you respond. If you didn't know, it's only the second time a player has scored 6 sixes in an over in T20 International, and the third time only in international cricket. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
At what stage in that 6 over you felt like you had an opportunity to get 6 sixes?
After the third one. We have played a couple of games in Super 50, and I understand how the wicket plays. The ball was hard. 2 guys out, so I just come out and back myself. Again in the Super 50 as well, you back yourself to clear the boundaries rather than just prodding. So something the team needed. Yeah, as you said, I saw a hat-trick. Unfortunately, I didn't even see the 2 wickets before. I only heard, but I was just prepared to come out and do what the team required at that point in time.
After the 5th 6, everybody had a heightened interest in terms of what will happen in the 6th delivery. Could you care to share what was going through your mind at that point in time?
In that little brief time, a couple of things went through my mind. Do I survive the rest of the over because I've already gotten 30? Or do I just continue? I know I had the ball on the back foot and he went around the wicket. It would have been difficult, I think, for him, to try to bowl the ball anywhere in front of me. And, once I connected with the breeze, I just said, what, Polly, take your chances. You're damn if you do, you're damn if you don't. And that's how I've, played my cricket, throughout, especially with spinners bowling, as well. So, it came off tonight. Unfortunately couldn't go on. But again, most important victory.
Yeah, not such a good day at the office for the Sri Lankans, although they had something to celebrate. Here's Angela Matthews.
Angela, let's start from the top. You got the chance to bat first. You achieved 40 for 1 in the first 6 overs and a good partnership between Nissanka and Dikwela. Care to explain what transpired thereafter?
Yeah, after the start that we got, it was very good batting by Dikwela and Nissanka. I thought, Nissanka also batted really well on his debut. And we didn't assess the conditions after the 7th over. We went for too many shots too early, I thought. We were just 20-30 run short. I think 160 would have been a good score on this. Credit should go to the West Indies. They held their nerve.
At one stage, you looked like you would defend that 131. What was your message to your team at the halfway stage?
Yeah, what I said was, we need to take wickets to win this game. I mean, we're not going to contain them the 20 overs. So had that catch been taken, would have been an interesting game. But unfortunately, mistakes do happen. But yeah, we'll try and bounce back in the next game.
Your spinners again coming to the fore. Is that going to give you a sneak peek as to the strategy to be used against the West Indies going forward in this tour?
Yeah, the wicket also suited them a little bit. I thought they bowled brilliantly. It was the wicket was sticking a little bit, but I thought Akila and Banidu Hasaranga bowled brilliant lines and lengths, and they got the batsman guessing. And it was a really big plus point for us as a team, and we'll try and capitalize on it in the next game.
A hat trick to Dhananjaya, and then an opposite sort of response from Karam Pollard to his bowling. I saw you chatted with him a couple times during that sixth over. What was the message to him?
No, I said Pollard, as we know, is very destructive. He can take any bowler down. So what I said to him was, try and get his wicket. It doesn't matter if he goes for 6 sixes. That's his strength. So if he goes and miscues one, we have a real big chance of winning the game. But unfortunately for us, Pollard came on top in that over.
Nissanka and Bandara on debut. What would you say their efforts have been, and going forward, what do you expect from them?
Yeah, those two are very exciting players. That's why the selectors kept, faith in them. They're very exciting players. They're quick between the wickets, and they've got some wonderful skills. And as they go along, as they play more games, they will, definitely come into the groove. And I wish them all the very best.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's get our final thoughts now. Match number 2 on Friday. Philo, first of all, any changes in terms of the West Indies 11 in your opinion?
No, Barry, I don't think the West Indies would change that winning 11 at all for the second T20 game. I think it was a good start. Obviously, you'll expect Gale and Puran to come good in the second T20 match, and West Indies will obviously look to win that second T20 match and go 2-0 up in the series.
And on reflection, Sri Lanka, Johnny Barron, do you think that they might want to boost their 11 with another spinner, seeing how successful De Silva and Dhananjaya was?
It would certainly be a temptation for Sri Lanka. I think they've seen the way that the pitch has developed here and how it's likely to play across the remaining 2 matches in the series. And I do think actually Sri Lanka, now they've got the first game out of their legs, will become more and more competitive as this series develops. They'll certainly take great confidence largely by the way they bowl, but they do look very, very light with the bat.
And finally, Sir Clive, looking into the second T20. Your thoughts as the West Indies try to go 2-0 up in the series?
Well, I think it'd be compelling viewing in the next couple of games. It's obvious that the Sri Lanka defended that 132. I'm sure they will get better. And if they have a larger score, then the West Indies will then have to win and win well. But I think it will be a very good series because we'll be seeing a lot of spin from Sri Lanka because the wickets are conducive to that. And I'm very impressed too with Fidel Edwards. He bowled with pace, he bowled very well, and I hope that he lasts throughout the series.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Don't forget, live and exclusive coverage is on FlowSports, and you can join us as the match starts at 6 p.m. Eastern Caribbean time, 5 p.m. Jamaica time. And we look forward to having you back here for some more highlights then. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Bye-bye for now.